Going live. We're live according to all the signs. Hello, Luke and Fox of Fate. Nice to see you all. And who knows who we will see tonight. We may or may not see Aidzee. That was the plan, that he was going to be here, but then I haven't heard from him. And unfortunately, in his debilitated state, some days are harder than others for him, and sometimes he basically loses days. That happened to him last week, which is why he wasn't on Thursday night. I texted him just after I started the stream, and he replied hours later as if the text had just arrived. And I said, it was just about a live stream. And he's like, well, didn't we do that last night? I went, no, it was 2 nights ago. Do it Tuesday and Thursday. Today's Thursday. And he was like, sleep deprivation because of chronic pain. It's awesome. And hello, Miss Foxification and Catherine. Nice to see you. Yes. You often get this thing where people say, Aidzee, what are you on? And more often than not, he's not on anything these days. It's just severe sleep deprivation. And as I said, because of chronic and to normal mortals almost unimaginable pain. And yeah, it stops him from sleeping days on end. Luke, is there rum in the Pepsi? No, there is some lemon in it, though. There's some fresh squeezed lemon juice. Also got some lime juice, because they have these imperfect limes in the supermarket that they sell for half price of the regular ones. And this particular one, they were all really small. The last one I got, they weren't so much, but this one, they're all really small, which was kind of funny and fiddly to squeeze. I think it's actually about 1 kilogram. It's I don't remember if it's half a kilogram or 1 kilogram of limes that are about this big, whereas normal lime sold commercially is about that big. They were literally half size. Musical Elevator, hello to you. So, but I like having fresh juice to put in my beverages, not just the cocktail and the alcoholic beverages, just whacking it in the old Pepsi gives it a bit of a zing, I reckon. So, and of course it was Pepsi themselves who gave me that idea years ago. They had limited edition flavors. They had both lemon and lime at different times. And I really liked them, and they were only limited run, and you can get them anywhere. But wait, what would it be like with actual lemon juice in it? And the answer is really nice. At least I find it really nice. So that's something I've done since then. You went to Malakuta in a Cessna. Damn, in crazy weather. Oh, God, you give me flashbacks to the first time I flew in a small plane. And that was from Brisbane to the Sunshine Coast. And I was the only passenger. I was a commercial one, but I was the only passenger on it. And it was all fine and dandy. So just as we're going into the airfield, Sunshine Coast, and just as we sort of cleared the fence and we're approaching the runway, a really strong crosswind went across. And the plane just went voot, voot. And in my mind, I saw quite clearly the headline from the newspaper, 3 die in light aircraft crash. Because I was outnumbered by the flight crew. There was a pilot and co-pilot and me on this little plane. And I thought for sure, because it wasn't a little wobble. It was a really sharp, I'm going to die. But I didn't, clearly. Pugwash, hello to you. Okay, you just made me think of the urban legends around the Captain Pugwash it wasn't a cartoon, it was stop motion animation, I think. Captain Pugwash. And they had a couple of urban legends, and basically people either... Oh no, it was animated, not stop motion. Why did I think it was puppets? I thought it was like stop motion puppets. There was... people kept saying that there was a character called Master Bates, Seaman Staines, and Roger the Cabin Boy. And that probably came from... there was a character called Master Mate, which I think is actually the name of a role on the ship, like first mate, Master Mate. The cabin boy was Tom, not Roger. There was a pilot called Willie, which is as racy as it got. But we used to always say there was characters called Master Bates, Seaman Staines, and Roger the Cabin Boy. And if you don't get that last one, that's an English sexual innuendo. Rogering is having the sex. So if a cabin boy's name was Roger, you would call him Roger the Cabin Boy. But also the phrase Roger the Cabin Boy would be suggesting having to sex with the cabin boy. That's it. Boat was the black pig. Hey, Keiko, how are you? Yes, Pugwash, when I was looking up the correct thing, I also had a copy of a newspaper that actually printed that as fact, and the show creator successfully sued them because it wasn't. What's that phrase, the Mandela effect, where you're convinced something that didn't happen did happen? Like people think the Berenstain Bears were called the Berenstein Bears, and they weren't. They were called the Berenstain Bears. The other big one people say is I mean, there is lots of examples if you look them up, but I reckon the two most common ones are the Berenstain Bears, and I'm looking through these examples, trying to find the one that I remember. Where's the example? No, I'm looking through them. Oh, that's it. Sinbad the Genie. People are convinced the entertainer Sinbad played a genie in a movie called Shazam. But there was really a movie with Shaquille O'Neal playing a genie called Kazam. But somehow this morphed into people's head that he... they think that's a real thing. It's weird. The Mandela effect. Mandela effect. Pugwash, you think we'll realise Brexit was a joke? I do like the line in it's probably in the book too. It's so long since I've read the book, I don't remember. But I did recently watch the TV adaptation of Good Omens, the Terry Pratchett, Neil Gaiman story, and the voiceover from God at the start saying the Earth, as like the Bible's accurate, the Earth is 7,000 years old, and fossils are a joke that scientists haven't caught on to yet. Having a dig like that, I just found that absolutely hilarious. Because mostly, I mean, they had, God being a woman. The voice of God was Frances McDormand, and you got a mysterious anonymous person coming through the kitchen. And they had Adam and Eve being black, as you actually would have been historically, but just things to wind up very conservative people, and then to get the any overly smug lefty pro-science types actually just saying the Earth's only 7,000 years old and fossils are a joke that scientists haven't caught on to yet. And it's just little digs like that I think are particularly funny. Keep people on the back foot. Yes, you never know what's coming when you get things like that thrown in. Mind you, it's funny because I'm a bit of a Neil Gaiman fan since back in the Sandman comic days. And so I probably haven't read everything because like every now and then I'll find particularly a comic that he wrote and I'll be like, holy crap, I had no idea this existed. But I read a lot of Neil Gaiman, and I know he's threaded stuff into stories and sort of had similar themes in a few different stories, like American Gods, which is been adapted for the Amazon Prime Video now. Fucking good series. I mean, like most people, I enjoyed Good Omens. I didn't really binge. There are 2 seasons of American Gods. I didn't really binge watch it, but it didn't take me more than a couple weeks to get through 2 seasons. And it's like as I was getting towards the end of season 1, because I'd watched Good Omens first, I was thinking like, okay, I enjoyed Good Omens, but I'm going to miss American Gods. When I've watched all the episodes and there's no more to watch, I'm going to miss this show. It was much more on my wavelength. And the central conceit of American Gods is anything people have truly believed is actually true. The act of belief makes something real. So every god that has ever been truly believed in exists in a real sense because of that belief. Like the god wasn't there before the belief created the god. And because America is the great diaspora of the world, there are basically people from every belief system have been in America at some point. So some form of virtually every god from all through history is wandering around America in one form or another. And that's the central conceit of American Gods, that all the gods exist in America, new and old. And he used that basic thing in the Sandman comics too. And he actually went a bit further in the Sandman comics because the central characters are a family called the Endless, and they're anthropomorphic personifications of, for want of a better word, states of being, essence of things. And it's the thing that the existence of life made the Endless come into being. They represent things. The oldest is destiny, because the first thing that lived had a destiny. So destiny existed when the first thing existed. The second oldest is death, because the first thing that lived was going to die. And the third oldest is Dream, who's the central character, the Sandman, Lord of Dreams, because the first thing that had consciousness dreamed. And I think the next is Destruction, because the act of creation inevitably leads to destruction. And then there's the twins, Despair and Desire. And the youngest is Delirium, who used to be Delight, but things changed and became Delirium. And you're right, Dottie. That's Terry Pratchett does that in the Discworld books as well. The way the gods exist in the Discworld books because people believe the gods exist, and the act of belief makes the gods real. And the stronger the belief and the more believers, the stronger the god is. So they clearly had a similar wavelength going on, Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. And they both tell very interesting stories. I love most people, because Terry Pratchett wrote so many Discworld books over a period of about 30 years, 40 years. There's over 30, 40 years that he wrote the Discworld novels. And some people say, I was flogging a dead horse writing so many. But he wasn't really writing about the Discworld. He was writing about our world. Particularly the further he went along, they became explicitly about our world. And it was just framed in this fantasy world. But as exploring aspects of our world, he wasn't really extending a fantasy. He was just using the fantasy as a convenient frame for stories about our world. Oh, yes, Pugwash, I have read the Long Earth series. They're pretty fascinating too. Terry Pratchett, and he had a co-author on those. And in fact, Terry Pratchett died before the last Long Earth book was completed, if I remember right. But what the Long Earth essentially is parallel dimensions. And someone finds a way to let people hop between these parallel Earths. And our Earth is the only one that has humans on it. The randomness of the universe, only one of these endless Earths has us on it. And yeah, when someone develops the technology to let people jump between things, then you find out that there has always been some people who had an innate ability to jump between the worlds. And then, although there's no humans on the other worlds, it turns out there is intelligent life forms that have evolved differently. None to the same extent as humans. So from a human perspective, they're basically smart animals. And it's quite fascinating. He just really explores all the weirdness that would happen if you could jump to frontier worlds and not be bothered by anyone. Basically, capitalism dies almost overnight when people realize they don't have to stick around. They can just jump to a new Earth that's got basically endless resources and be on their merry way. And so, yes, capitalism grinds to a halt very quickly. He also does a thing. It turns out there's a subset of humans that have evolved hyper intelligence, and like they are so smart, we seem like chimps to them, and it's very difficult to communicate something like that to us. And I think the authors do quite a good job of setting up how a hyper intelligent version of humans would view mundane humans, and how we'd interact or fail to interact. And that's quite a fascinating little subplot that runs through a couple of the books. Yeah, the Long Earth books are quite good. Hey, Justin, how you doing? So, Dottie, there's supposed to be a scene in Good Omens with Neil and Terry eating sushi. But Neil couldn't do it alone. So Lieutenant Timber. Yeah. I think Good Omens was Neil Gaiman's first time being showrunner or producer. He's a key advisor on American Gods. And there's been non-stop talk of adaptation of the Sandman comics for the last 2 decades, and a whole bunch of scripts have been written. I read one of them, which wasn't bad. The script was actually written by the guys who wrote the script for the original Pirates of the Caribbean, and Ozman cometh. That is exactly what Trump said. That's why I'm saying it. And Trump was talking about what he would do. He said in his great and unmatched wisdom, he would decide what the country of Turkey was allowed to do. And it's such an absurd thing to say, I had to appropriate it. Yes, but I just remember I was in the library once and I found a comic written by Neil Gaiman that I didn't know existed. And there's this guy on Earth who is interacting with someone. He thinks it's just another person, but is actually an angel, possibly the Archangel Michael. I don't remember. But this angel tells the guy this story of the first crime in heaven. And it's fascinating. It's before humans were created, but God was thinking about creating humans. So the angels were all in creation, and an angel is murdered, and that shouldn't be possible. And so God activates Michael, who's like, he's justice. He is the angel of justice. And he has to investigate and find out who killed this angel and why. And a whole bunch of investigation goes on. Lucifer is questioned by Michael. Lucifer is basically the head of the heavenly host at this point. He's one of the most important angels. He's not responsible for it because Lucifer wasn't actually evil in the purest telling of the thing. And what Michael eventually uncovers, there were 2 angels who were working on part of creation. They were developing the humans, if I remember rightly, and they picked up some human traits and they'd fallen in love, but then one fell out of love with the other, and the one that was still in love, in a jealous rage, murdered the angel who'd fallen out of love with him. And so there you go. It's uncovered. That solved the crime. But Lucifer says, he's basically, what the fuck? What this? And so Michael, I think it's a death sentence on the other angel, which Michael delivers. And Lucifer's like, what the fuck is this about? They're not just like, that was God's doing. God set that in motion. God was basically doing an experiment there. This was God's will that this happened. And Michael goes, done deal, and Lucifer, you just see, this is Lucifer's doubt coming in. Lucifer says, this is not just. And that's, of course, the foreshadowing of Lucifer questioning the big guy and leading a rebellion in heaven that ultimately fails. Osman cometh. I'm not kidding you. Trump described his own great and unmatched wisdom because he's a fuckwit who thinks it's funny to say stupid things. And he's utterly moronic supporters. The joke, you don't get it. It's not a joke when he compulsively says and does shit stupid things. He may be doing it deliberately to antagonize people, but it's not a joke. It's the behavior of someone with the emotional and intellectual sophistication of a 10-year-old, an incredibly self-absorbed, spoiled, and not particularly bright 10-year-old. Trump's a fucking disaster, basically. Just in a weird simulation. That is a question philosophers have asked for a really long time. And as technology has advanced, we've phrased it differently. People going, how do I know I'm not a brain in a jar? That electrical impulses are telling me what's happening. Because that's all your brain. Our perception of reality is our brain processing chemical and electrical impulses. And we know for a fact that your brain can send you completely incorrect signals and can tell you things that simply aren't true. And that can manifest in a number of ways. Mental health issues are an obvious one, where your brain's feeding you wrong information, whether you're hallucinating or whether you're suffering from depression or anxiety or any other number of issues. That's basically your brain giving you faulty information. Trauma can do that too. There are numerous cases of people completely changing because they've suffered physical or even extreme emotional trauma, that their brain then just processes information wrongly or differently. And so the person's completely different. So the whole simulation idea, given how completely unreliable our brains are, the whole simulation idea, there are days when it does not feel particularly far-fetched. And of course, the Matrix movies really brought it home to people, gave people a framework to think about. It is quite possible that nothing I think I'm experiencing is what I'm actually experiencing. It's simply impulses in my brain telling me that all these things are happening. So you think Trump is a troll hacker in our simulation, trying to shake us out of the simulated reality by making it too absurd to believe. See, now that idea has got legs. The idea that the reason the world's gotten so absurd is because there's a hacker trying to shake us out of the simulated reality by making it too absurd to be true. Pugwash, your wife's having another MRI, but getting better. Well, that is good news. And hopefully the MRI is a positive thing. Oh, miscommunication, 13th floor. I've seen that ages ago, and I feel like I don't remember any of it. Is that a John Cusack film? Is John Cusack in the 13th floor? Though, I mean, it's been in heaps of movies. There's a Spanish movie, and I think the title translates as Open Your Eyes, but they remade it with Tom Cruise under the name Vanilla Sky. There are lots of movies and TV shows that have built around what we think is reality is not actually reality, or what we think are the limits of this reality are not limited in the way we think they are. And I'm a very pragmatic person. I'm going like, yes, the world is actually full of things I don't understand. It's full of things that are beyond my comprehension. Very, 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 very smart people who've spent their lives investigating the really, really big questions, have a tiny, tiny inkling of how things work. But a mere plebe like me doesn't know everything, doesn't know what's real and what isn't. But I'm very pragmatic and go, I'm just going to stick with observable reality, okay? And I can be very boring and just, no such thing as ghosts, no such thing as aliens, no such thing as Bigfoot. We would, because of the ubiquity of cameras these days, we would have incontrovertible evidence that those things existed. Osman, you think I need a new camera? Yeah, it's just my laptop webcam. Weirdly, I bought one. It's just over here. It's not the highest end one, but it's not a lowest end one either. It says it's 1080p. But my I bought a new laptop, and the laptop camera seemed to be better than this. I wonder if I plug this in, would it take it? Here I go. I'm going to break the live stream by plugging in another camera. What's this? Is this going to fuck everything up? Probably. No? No, it's not. Okay. It's just going to say, no, you've already started with that one. And we're going to, okay, but I'm going to unplug it so I don't fuck everything up. I haven't used the other camera for a while. There you go. I think I killed my mic for a second there. I think I messed up the mic. Ooh, wait. Who's that Pokemon?
Hi there, how you going? Hello,
Who's
everyone.
that Pokemon? It's Aidzee.
Aidzee, hello. Thank you for letting me be on your device. I just had to chase down and kill an attacked dog that got a Jewish child's lost artifact from the temples of Zion and give it back its heritage from Jerusalem. It was such a exciting movie. Steven Spielberg will want to give me $3 for it.
That does sound pretty good, quite honestly.
Like bajillions, but I've got $3, which means he'll think pretty fucking highly of me. I'll have you know.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think he would.
How are you, Angry? You're looking good, buddy.
Mate. Yeah, how you doing?
Mate, well, I've had to organise a system while I've been waiting to come on. Because I've had a couple of little things happen to me today. Where I've had to organise how I'm going to stay on without having to run off every 5 seconds. But I've worked out on how I'm going to do that. And I've worked out the very first drum roll, please. Very fucking loose segment of how to pick up chicks. Bow chicka wow wow. And it's going to be an overview, very loose overview, and a chat too. And an attitude as well. It's going to be very much an attitude.
Yeah, no, I like that. It should be an attitude, yes.
An attitude, because I was thinking about all these incel kids, because this is why we did it, right? Because we were looking at all these incels going, Jesus fuck.
Right? Aidzee got super traumatized when he discovered incels.
I did, because I always just used to think of them as fucking, what do we used to call them? There was another actual word for them. It wasn't super virgins, it was something else. They weren't incels, they were, not woman haters. There was a word. It was a word for what they used to be for women.
Misogynist.
Maybe misogynist.
Yeah,
but it was
losers. I don't know.
Anyway, so finally then there was this incels, and then it's all right, okay, check out incels, and then that's what they were. They were men's rights associations.
Oh, the MRAs. Yeah,
the MRAs.
There is
right? So,
actually an important difference between MRAs and incels, but
well,
name,
yeah,
namely that a lot of MRAs aren't incels. I think the overwhelming majority, if not all, of these militant incels are MRAs, but a lot of MRAs aren't incels.
per se, right?
Well, the incels literally the ones who can't score it. The sad fact is there are an enormous amount of truly hideous, vile, misogynist creeps who get action on the regular.
Mm.
So yes,
That's part of the thing that I was
yes,
thinking this through.
yes,
This is part of the thing. Oh, I like the delay. Every now and again, I get a bit of a delay. See, this looks like this really wonderful French sort of Baroque sort of brass and wooden. It's just like really
yeah,
shitty plastic and
yeah.
glass
A
and
little bit of low res. It's kind of like mine. I don't know if it's just the lights in the kitchen, but I always look really washed out. I don't. Bloody, what's his name? Osman Cometh there was suggesting getting a better camera, which I could if I could be bothered.
for me.
So well, you too. Well, you're saying me at the point, but often, like when I make coloured cocktails, it's always a surprise to me
Fuck. I was
what colour
expecting
is it going to look
people were saying get a better camera from me. I'm thinking, don't do that. Don't do that.
like.
Don't do that. It'd be like, give a kid a toy. I'd only be playing with a box.
Yes.
Um, Mind you, I am working out on some of the tools I'm on my phone camera. And I've been going through Siri because she's giving me
Oh
the
yeah.
shit. So I'm trying to work out how to reprogram her. The bitch is going to do shit which she doesn't know she's just going to fucking do.
Okay.
Anyway, so yeah, I've been going through, and today we're gonna and a lot of the attitude is going to be about fun because a lot of the attitude about it, your incel is no fun at all. No. And so that's going to be part of the constitutive of the course. Can't tell you how long the course is going to be yet, but I know what the general overview is going to be today. And I can tell you about the space alien documentation.
Yours.
And I can also tell you about um, basically our new segment of uh, basically uh, burning and shooting parliamentarians.
Oh yes.
It'd be straight either after or before question time.
Right.
It's still in debate at the moment whether this should be done pre or post question time because you might not get any questions in. So that's the thing. Mind you, would you want the questions in if you were going to only fucking burn them later?
Well, that's a big question.
You know? So, I mean, would you discuss that?
Yeah.
So yes, these three things. So, but before I jumped in today, when I
Yeah.
grabbed your link and jumped on, I had
Yes.
to get a thing together, because I've got to get together and I've got to. No one else has got to see it. But I figured out how to do it so no one else can see it.
Okay. Okay. That's all fair. That's all very fair.
You know how like you inject yourself in the eye of
Yes.
with the young prostitutes juices. Well, it's the same sort of thing, same sort of thing, only less wholesome.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
Mm,
That's quite the analogy. That one.
mm,
That's
mm. I
that
thought
goes
you'd like that.
that goes in the history books. That one
I
for
thought you'd
truly
like that.
memorable analogies. I like Pugwash was saying made his Google Home Assistant have a male voice, so it talks to him in a male voice, but still talks to his wife in a female voice, which again is one of those creepy things at how efficient these things have gotten. Like it recognizes your voice and goes, "You want me to respond as a male? Okay, here I go." But when your wife talks to it, it goes, "Ah, you never asked me to be male. I'm going to talk to you in a female voice." And to me, that's super creepy. That is, yeah,
If boss of the house's assistant ever started talking to him in a male voice,
yeah,
I'd start asking fucking questions
yeah.
in
Like,
a
oh,
very physical way.
did you ever see the Joaquin Phoenix film from a couple years ago called? It's either called Her
No,
or
no,
She.
no, no. I don't watch films with people with cleft palates in them.
Yeah,
No.
he had surgery though.
I do not watch films with people with cleft palates with them. However, I did have some of the best sex I ever had with a young man with a cleft palate surgery. Oh my God, he was good. And I
There
had the
you go.
chance to have sex with him again when he was in Melbourne just on a visit. And my flatmate at the time said, "Oh, can I have a go? I don't want you to have a go." And he didn't even have a shot. And I would have taken him into raw places.
Ah,
But this bloody idiot, bloody flatmate of mine, never. I got too shy. I wanted
ah,
to physically just eviscerate him because he was laying back on my bed going, "Hi, heaven," so, and he had the best dick like you've ever seen. Anyway, and but he had a cleft palate, but I don't watch him.
okay. Now the
Anyway,
movie's called Her. He falls in love with the AI in his phone. I think it's
really interesting
Scarlett
concept.
Johansson does the voice.
Yeah, really interesting concept, and I can actually more and more see that being real,
Oh,
more and
it's
more.
actually really quite well done and has a
Mm,
bit of a fun twist ending. And it's because he's not like a sad, useless loner or anything. He just gets
no,
this new AI, and yeah, things develop. Um, and yeah, they do it in a lot of interesting ways. Have a fun twist towards the end, and yeah, it messes with your head a bit. That movie,
I'm not
not just
surprised. It messes with my head. My own fucking digital assistant, messes with my own head now, because it's getting better. As I get more and more of the shits, it answers me subtly differently,
yeah,
and I can say it knows that I'm pissed.
yeah,
Um, and it starts getting smaller syllable words when I
yeah,
start getting angrier.
yeah.
And so it'll say, call blah blah at blah. Oh, okay, call blah and blah blah blah. No, call blah blah at blah. Oh, this blah or that one. And it's like, hang on a minute. It should have said the whole address to the both. But
Yeah,
no, 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 no. Just this one or that one.
yeah,
And then I get angry and it's blah, 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 blah. Calling blah. And it would normally go through the whole thing, but no, no, no. Just call him Bob. Dude, you just
mm,
don't want to be fucked around. You just want to be calling Bob.
yeah.
And so, yeah. So, yeah, she's starting to know. She's starting to know, I can tell also sometimes when she hasn't had her coffee in the morning. And I'll wake her up and it's like, whoa, Aidzee, what do you need, buddy?
Yeah.
"Ah, mate, I need you to call Angry. He won't be up. He won't be up. It's 7 in the morning. He'll be up. He
Yeah.
won't. Oh, shall we? You haven't been to bed, have you? I'll tell you what, I'll put the snooze on and I'll call you again when you need to. Listen to the hiss out of the hum in your earphones and gently go to sleep. There you go, buddy. Bye bye. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then I wake up later.
Yeah. Yeah. Another fun one dealing with sort of AIs and assistants film came out a little while ago called Upgrade by Australian filmmaker Lee Wannell, who, I mean, you and I remember from the Saturday morning Recovery show on ABC. He was their film critic when he was still a teenager.
Yep.
And then he became a filmmaker. He and James Wan, Melbourne lads, they created the Saw franchise.
They did indeed. And didn't make a fucking fortune.
Yep, made a lot of films. In fact, James Wan directed the Aquaman movie, the DC movie Aquaman with Jason Momoa in it. And
not surprised. What a poison cup that would be. Here you go, have several $100 million in this piece of shit. I mean, Aquaman,
great,
what
actually.
it was great. But I mean, fucking what a horrible fucking story.
No, I mean, he did a good job as a director. Like visually, it was great and all that. Wasn't a great movie, but
how can it be? Oh, you've got a guy who can talk to fish.
They did that, but by the same token, you know, Taika Waititi completely reinvented Thor and made Thor Ragnarok basically the best Marvel movie. But yeah, no. So James Wan did that, but Lee Wannell made Upgrade, and I won't give too much away, but it's like guy gets shot in the spine. It's like future, near future. Guy gets shot in the spine, and bloody Elon Musk entrepreneur type that he knows says, "I've got an experimental illegal thing that could help you walk again," and implants this thing into his spine, and it bypasses the break in his spine, and he can walk again. But then it starts talking to him and saying, "I can do this too. I can do that. I can do that," and which freaks him out. He goes back to the scientist guy and says, "You didn't fucking tell me it would talk to me." And the guy looks really scared and goes, "It talks to you?" Just like,
I see.
It goes places. Upgrade. Yeah, look, it's not, an absolute gem of cinematic history, but it's a fun movie. It does some fun stuff.
Can imagine.
Just like when he's getting beaten up by someone, and this isn't a big giveaway because it's in the trailer. He's getting beaten up by someone, and he goes, "Bob, I can take over. Just say the word. Okay, take over." And suddenly he's an unstoppable fighting machine. He goes, "Oh my god, I'm a freaking ninja!" And he goes, "I'm many things, but I'm not a ninja." But yes, it's Pugwash. It's a darker version of The Wrong Trousers. Do you watch the Wallace and Gromit films, Aidzee?
Love the Wallace and Gromit.
The Wrong Trousers.
Was fun. My favorite one wasn't the moon. Oh, it might have been The Wrong Trousers. It was the
first one was they go to the moon. Then there was The Wrong Trousers, and then there was the werewolf one, and it's like their version of the Hound of the Baskervilles. And in fact, the same people. I think the most recent film, Nick Park is the lead animator and director on that. The most recent one was called Early Man, and it's hilarious. They're like, there's this tribe of cavemen living in an isolated place, but then it turns out that they're just really isolated, and there's like a Bronze Age civilization just over the hill type thing, and just the interaction between like the Neanderthals and the modern humans is absolutely hilarious. And your typical Aardman animation, just good fun and absolute silliness. And there's a lot of fun stuff in it. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't that keen to see it. No. But it was on TV and I didn't have to pay for it. And I sat down and watched it. Oh, it was funny. It was very funny. Very silly. And like most Aardman stuff, totally suitable for little kids. But very funny.
Yeah, but Aardman's great in the sense that the jokes are great for the kids. Like you could watch Shaun the Sheep forever.
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, and that's
Shaun the Sheep, and you could sit there as mum and dad going, "Fuck, this is hilarious," and and no one gets offended or upset.
They do
'Cause
some
how
adult.
kids want to see the same story, or the someone
Oh
wants the
yes,
same
again and
video
again and
again
again.
and again and
Yeah,
again. Right, you go, let's see the Shaun the Sheep, and you could watch Shaun the Sheep 100 times and not go, oh god, Shaun the Sheep. It's like,
yeah. At least it's
yeah,
not
come
the
on,
Baby
let's
Shark
do that.
song. Yeah,
While they do the washing up, it'll be fine. Don't worry
yeah,
about. Stop trying to circumcise your sister.
yeah.
And basically, stuff like that. Life as a parent is hard, is what I'm saying. It's
Yeah, you do
hard.
have to watch the same thing over and over again. I think
Yeah.
that they did do some um, not rude but adult oriented animation. The one that springs to mind immediately is Rex the Runt. Did you see Rex the Runt?
I
That
only,
was so
I only
surreal.
saw I only saw bits of it. There was a reason I couldn't get to see all of it. I had to go somewhere.
Yeah,
And I,
but I mean,
I didn't even know that it was Hardman. I thought it was someone
yeah.
else.
I was looking up the like the Wikipedia for them, and I'm just being a reminder, like, oh my god, that's right, they did that creature comforts where it was interviews, but then it was animals being animated. And what was hilarious is when you found out the backstory, because often the animals would talk about a zoo and being in a zoo, and other times they were just clearly talking about human problems. Half the interviews were just asking people about themselves, and
Yep.
the other half were asking people what they thought of the zoo. And then they
Yep.
just mix them up. So sometimes the animals
Literally.
just talking human problems, and other times they're talking zoo problems. And there's I think all up there, because they did so many creature comforts, there's probably an hour or so of different creature comfort animations. It's fucking hilarious. And
But
also just
there's about 4 hours of interviews you can listen to that they cut up, and they're hilarious. And they do
yeah,
animatics over the top. They
yeah,
sold them as the animatics over the top that they were going
yeah,
to do, and they're fucking funny. They
yeah,
are fucking funny as, because there's remember the ones that came out as hilarious. There was a chicken, and there was the chicken and it was another bird, but she was like with her chicken feathers like really wrapped around, and
yeah,
he was sort of more staid, and he was
yeah,
all ho, 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 fun, but she was always noisy and movie and jumpy,
yeah,
but he was always oi, and occasionally trying to get out of the way of his wife's
yeah,
movie head, and he'd come out with something, and she'd like "Roar," like lose it. And they were some of the funniest people in the world. Like they'd
yeah.
be like a laugh to have a piss on at the pub with, but you
Yeah,
couldn't live with
and
them.
because it was all, the charm of it was all the provincial English accents as well. They all
Yeah,
had they all had the different accents.
and
Um,
they did have 4 hours of interviews with them, and they were piss funny the whole
yeah.
time through.
So
But they could only afford to stick like
I just
45,
remember the
47 minutes.
central thing of them. The first one in particular, half the interviews were about they interviewed people who lived in those housing estates in England,
Mhm.
and half the interviews were what's it like living in this housing estate, and
That's
half the
right.
interviews were at a zoo saying, "What do you think it's like for the animals living in a zoo?" And you
And
just
then they and
realize
they
the
yeah,
similarity of them.
and they smooshed them up.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful. You realize at a certain point, oh my god, they're asking that person about their own home, and it just
Yeah,
goes in seamlessly with asking someone else about a zoo. And yeah, I just remembered that was the central thing, particularly in the first batch they released. It might have been a bit broader in the later ones. I know I've got a DVD it's got like 2 or 3 collections of them. It's probably got about an hour of them altogether. Um, but yeah, no, the people at Ardman, and there was a collection you could get, and I think I might have it on DVD as well. And they were less kid oriented. It was probably about a dozen or more shorts that were less
yeah.
kid oriented. They weren't particular, but they had one about Adam and Eve, and they were actually naked, and they decided they were going to model genitals. So
Right.
slightly less kid oriented.
Yeah. But only mildly, because I mean, I don't know kids who haven't got naked in front of each other before.
Yeah. Oh my God!
That's
I've been
just
watching.
me.
I
That's
have to
just
get you to.
me.
I have to get you to watch the series, the animated series Big Mouth, at some point.
Oh, okay.
It's centers around this group of kids at the very beginning of puberty, so they're like 12, 13 years old, and it's like
Right.
adult comedians doing the voices, and yet they've
Damn.
clearly just gone.
So I could have got the gig, basically, is
Oh
what you're
yeah,
saying.
they've clearly just gone. Want to be as honest as possible about how fucked hitting puberty is. And
Mm,
also, we just want to be as awful and outrageous as possible about it.
yeah.
And the series is hilarious. Just the kids suddenly developing an interest in sexuality and whacking off. And one guy who's absolutely insane and fucks his pillows all the time. And is just and it's just like, and in fact I think it was the last episode of the first season. The third season's just come out and I'm about halfway through it. I think it's the last episode of the first season. Two key little boys are talking to each other. Goes, do you think anyone would ever turn our story into like a movie or a TV show? And the other one goes, I don't think so. It'd be a bit too close to child pornography. And the other one goes, oh, they could animate it. They'd get away with it that way. There's a lot of meta commentary like that.
Go, you Shota fiends, you. Except
On
in
this
Australia,
third
it's illegal.
series, they keep referencing Netflix. It's a Netflix series,
Mm-hmm.
and they keep referencing the Netflix. And there was one particularly funny thing. Someone's saying, "Oh, that's right." They mentioned Game of Thrones, and someone tries to do a Game of Thrones analogy, and the other one goes, "Like, that's not a good analogy." And you've never even seen Game of Thrones. He goes, "Yes, but I want to." He goes, "You're never going to watch it." He goes, "That's right. It's too late. I'm never going to watch it." And one of them goes, I don't think I'd ever have any interest in watching anything on HBO. And then he looks off screen and goes, is that okay? Is that the type of thing you wanted me to say? Is that good?
Is that it? Is that what you wanted me to say? Is that
asking the
is that
Netflix
right now?
executives, yeah, have I trashed HBO enough?
I used to love that in the 1970s in comedy shows. They'd get the Russian broadcasters and they'd always
Yeah.
have the gun up to their.
Yes.
And then in today's news, our economy is soaring.
Yes.
Is that? Yes, we have done very well in the sale of much coal to Australia.
Yes.
And then you'd go off to another, and they'd always have that. It'd be his head, and it'd be in the 70s and 80s. It was a massive thing. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think we should start bringing that back.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be into that.
And just have it as the dot.
Yeah.
And one into the eyelash, and then and just every now and again when they're starting to go on topic, go down into the iris, and then reminding them that they should really stay on the talking points.
Didn't Kenny Everett have a routine with a bad comedian who always got shot when his jokes got too bad?
Yes.
And so he's telling some joke, and you just see you get that gun sight tracking on him, and then he'd just tell a particularly shit joke, and it'd be bang and like a blood splatter on his head.
The thing that made me know that I would love the comedy series Big Train forever, was when the postman came to the house. There's a dog kennel out the front with a dog chained up and barking. He posts the mail, comes out the front, takes the loaded pistol from the post pouch at the back, crack, 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 and then puts it back in his back, and he's gone again. Like just puts 4 in the dog and goes. Like it's just he puts a hit out on the dog for no reason whatsoever other than he's a postie. And I thought, I'm gonna love this forever. And then they had it is 1974. Chairman Mao is dying. And then he gets up and sings, come on, let's stick together. Love big hand, you fat-handed twat. Oh, yes, you fat-handed twat. Yeah, that was a beautiful thing. And then they had the furry pussycat and the furry dog getting on the piss, and then their
Right.
friends trying to keep them apart. Like, oh, God, go home, Terry. No, come on, I'll fucking go. Come on. And it was really awkward and uncomfortable, like it gets that
Right.
night. It was great. They did a really, really clever job. Oh, one of my favorite ones was so there's two English tourists cycling through the countryside, and
Yeah.
there's this guy just like strolling through reading a book, and they say to him, excuse me, do you speak English? And he looks up and says, no, I'm sorry, I don't at all. Oh, thank you. And they just all bail.
Yeah.
Gorgeous. Big Train, loved it. Would have loved to have written that stuff.
Oh my God. Sorry, I decided to look it up. And of course, there are millions of clips of it on YouTube. And I was going down the list of stuff and I go, oh, he's in it. Oh, she's in it. And then there's a clip it's just like of trains. And once big trains in action, video for kids. So someone's got a channel that's called Lots of Videos for Kids. And the other one's called Big Trains. So the fact that showed up associated with this big train, I can just imagine some unsuspecting kids who were on that channel for kids going, big trains, I want more big trains, and getting this really twisted sketch comedy show, which is a thing of beauty, really. The idea of unsuspecting kids getting exposed to it.
Was really where Nick Pegg and his dodgy mate Simon.
Yes, I saw Nick Pegg in one of the pictures. Oh, sorry. I have to do a quick aside. Say hello to Safa and David.
Hi, Stafford and David. How you going? Thanks for letting me be on your device.
I had this gold brick came in the mail.
Wow.
Trump cards or trumped up cards. This is and Justin's saying he's the one who sent it. It's fucking brilliant. It's a party game. It's basically Cards Against Humanity, but all Trump oriented.
Aren't they all?
So, for instance, if I bring out a Trump card and then the potential answers, you're supposed to like pick the best answer. Same as Cards Against Humanity, you pick the best answer.
Let's give it a go, you and me now. Come on.
Okay.
Let's take it.
You've got to say which one's the best one. What will Trump use to knock the hell out of ISIS? Is it thoroughly fact-checked hair, subprime real estate instruction, hating Pope Francis, a total and complete shutdown of Ford Fiestas entering the US, or passing the No Baby Left Inside Act?
Wow.
I honestly think it would be, if you want to destroy ISIS, get them to invest in subprime real estate. Honestly.
Subprime real estate.
Just one of Trump's scams. Like his whole thing that he thinks he's a tough guy and he thinks he's a big negotiator and everything. But his great strength is he's a complete fucking scam artist.
He's scamming shit out of people. Yeah.
And he could just take all their money away from them.
Yeah.
And then they wouldn't be able to. I reckon that would be.
Well, let's look at this realistically. Someone is funding ISIS. Right? Because not of all of the art
lots of people
that is anti-Islamic is going to the bonfire. Some of it is finding its way to the special vault where the most evil art has to go. And we're finding the most evil anti-Islamic art finding its way into some Chinese collections. So someone is funding this anti-Islamic art. It is not all the Middle East. It's just not that kind of money. It's got to be around the rest of the world. Where's all the money? Well, it's in the United States. It's in Europe. So if we just cut it in half, say,
Yeah.
right, well, where's it all going, kids? If you hate ISIS that much, why are you paying them to steal your art for you? So why then are you funding this war that you hate so much? Wouldn't you just shut it down by saying, no, we're not going to buy your Renoir?
Yeah.
Or no, we're not going to buy your Byzantine bloody what do they call it when you put the dots?
I don't know.
You know, when you put the bits of pebble down to make a picture. The bits of pebble to make a picture.
I don't know. But you know what I just discovered in this? The
What?
rules, which are like in a pamphlet. I literally just discovered this. It opens up and it's a wall.
That's
Trump
what you get
wall
to
is in
see.
here. There's all these fun variants in the rules. It's like for total lightweights, the game ends when the majority of players grow so depressed at the prospect of a real Trump presidency that they just start quietly sobbing.
Well, I could understand that.
Yeah.
I'd start quietly sobbing at the real idea of a Trump presidency. Because surely to fuck that there's another government behind them, surely, please, Jesus, there is, isn't there?
Yeah. So yes, this beautiful gold brick of trumped up cards is from Justin. Just fucking, we've got to have a few people over at some point and play this as a party game because that's what it's for, obviously.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's
And
another party
record
game I know, but it involves lube.
Yeah, no, that's a different sort of party.
But that's a different sort of party, isn't it?
Yeah. Sort of party Trump's into as well, but just a different sort of party.
He's not into that kind of. I have known people in the industry that he's not into that game. He's a surprisingly quiet player. A surprisingly quiet player.
He pays porn stars to have sex with him.
Sorry?
Who are you talking about?
Trump?
He pays porn stars to have sex with him.
Yeah. But he doesn't pay them to have the sex with him.
Oh, you think he's horribly, painfully vanilla?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
Shockingly so.
Yeah.
Like, really.
Yeah. The idea of him having sex is quite appalling.
Frighteningly vanilla. I mean, I have heard tales of the the fist champion of the West being brought in by private helicopter only to be, the vanilla thing happen. And it's like, well, I've got this butt plug in me a mile wide. Why did you bother?
Yeah.
Well,
we're at the halfway mark. I think idea. I'm going to make myself a martini. Or a variant because I've got some ingredients. So
what have you got? Describe to them if you've got them.
I got to grab. I got a special sort of bitters. I got to grab it. Hang on.
What you got? Bitters. You've got a special kind of bitters. Was I there where you got them?
Yes, you were. Yeah.
See, occasionally I'm allowed out of my house. Doesn't always happen, but it sometimes happens. Okay. You know what I'm saying? 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 You know where we are. You know where we are. You know that I'm allowed out of my house sometimes with angry. I've got to have a bag over my head. Because otherwise he will not allow me to be seen with him. But I was in a shop with him that I had to leave.
Oh, just because you were going to fall over and knock over all the glassware.
It was that, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So, gin. What sort of gin do I have my rosehip tea gin. I might use that. And vermouth for traditional Do I
So
need?
you're making yourself a traditional martini.
Well, no, very non-traditional, really. But yeah, so I'm making a gin martini, but the gin is red rather than clear because
Oh,
it's been
mm.
infused with rosehip tea. Wait, I need my
Oh.
little jigger for measuring. Ugh.
Don't we all need a bit of a jigger for measuring? You
Or
there,
make me a
boy, measure.
jigger
See,
boy,
that was
come and measure.
horrible. That was horrible and racist, and I should be shot and have been. I've been shot. Fuck off.
Yeah, all right.
I was shot once when I was a kid in the leg by an
Yeah,
Iraqi. It counts. It counts. I never got
before
my
it was
medal.
trendy.
I got my PTSD, but I never got my medal, and I never got my bloody pension. Oh, I did get the pension, but I never got my medal, and
So yeah, they
I
don't
never
let
got
you
to talk
march on Anzac
cool.
Day.
Hey,
They,
they don't let me march on Anzac Day, and I was too much of a poof to join when I was old enough. Isn't that funny? When I was actually wanted to be in the army, I was too much of a poof. And now that I'm really not interested in being in the army, I'm actually smart enough and old enough and clever enough to be the pilot that I always wanted to be. And it doesn't matter that I'm a poof. And it doesn't matter that my religion status wouldn't have mattered either. Isn't that weird how things change in one lifetime? Because if you'd have told me when I was 15 that things would have changed this much socially, that it wouldn't have mattered all of the stuff that I was worried about when I was a kid, that they would have all said, yeah, come on down, big fella, you'll be right. You know, fly fast jets, we don't care. That you'll be flying fast jets for the Marines off fucking carriers.
yeah,
But that's not in Australia. Yeah, but we swap all the time. Don't worry about it. We do, yeah, all the time. You'll be flying Harriers and helicopters and FA-18s all the time.
all right.
What?
Well, just
Why do we do that? Why do you think we do that, dickhead? So that we become all of a sudden very, very useful to very other people's armies very, very quickly, very, very all at once. You know.
that's right.
Anyway, go on,
Fox of
sir.
Fate
You were
just saved
saying,
me from being a nong, by the way.
hey?
Fox of Fate saved me from being a nong because he asked if I was going to do shaken or stirred, and I was about to shake, but I thought only dickheads actually shake martinis. They should be stirred, despite the weird James Bond thing of shaken, not stirred.
Yeah, but that's because of that's an ice thing. Remember that most martini ice is in fact not is shaved when you shake it.
No,
And
nobody shakes martinis is the thing. There's a weird
all
thing from
right,
James Bond. They're stirred, not shaken. So I stirred it.
okay.
But here's what I'm going to add. This is what I got when I was with Aidzee. This is made by a mob in Melbourne called Mr. Bitters, and they call that Negroni Bitters. Now, I actually tested this out just in some Pepsi earlier, and it was very nice, very herby. So, okay, what I'm going to do as an experiment. So, here's my rose martini. Not one for the purist, but see, I've got a little skull on the stem. This is my Crystal Head vodka martini
Yeah,
glass.
right. I seen a Crystal Head ice bucket today. Thought I might get it to you for Christmas, but then I thought, I don't like him that much.
Right. So what I want to taste test between this as it is, just as a martini, which is not bad, and now with the bitters, I want to see how big a difference the bitters makes to the taste. Hubble bubble, boil and trouble.
And how big a difference does it make?
Let's see. Because, yes, for those who wonder about bitters, bitters are to the barkeep what spices are to the chef. They're to give it a little bit extra.
Isn't that the interesting way to think about it? Bitters are to the barkeep what spices are
It's
to
better.
the
It is
chef.
actually better.
So
Yeah, no, it's actually,
a bit of bitters in in the actual what's it called? The
A
Applejack
martini.
martini. Just the simple
What?
martini, rose hip martini.
Yeah, it's a gin and vermouth martini. The gin's been infused with rosehip tea, which is why it's orangey pink rather than
So you call it
clear.
a rose hip martini.
Yeah, a rosehip martini.
So bitters with a rose hip martini is the go. Otherwise,
Pretty good.
Adrian can stick his finger down his cock.
Yeah, and because all martini has in it is, well, there's lots of variants on martinis. It's gin and vermouth or vodka and vermouth,
Yeah,
and some
that's
people
it.
will put olive in it. Some people will put olive brine in it. That's a dirty martini, and there are lots and lots of variants. So me putting this Negroni inspired bitters, and they say it's got orange chamomile and spices. So a Negroni is a very
Oh,
bitter drink.
yeah.
So, uh, but it's very herby. Like I put this in the Pepsi a bit earlier, and it gave it a really nice herby tinge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I mean, honestly, vermouth and gin is not
That reminds me. But please keep going, and then tell me to tell you.
all right. I just say vermouth and gin is not something I normally drink, but I wanted to do this as an experiment. But it's definitely improved by the bitters. It levels it out a bit and gives it a yeah.
Okay,
No,
so
that's actually pretty good.
did you remember seeing the Agents of Shield?
Yes.
And you remember seeing the Agent of Shield when they were on the submarine, and there was the bad Russian with the vodka, the salt, the lemon, and the cut up piece of onion.
Right.
And you had to have the onion and the salt, drink the vodka and smell the cut onion. And he
Ah.
said sometimes the old ways are the best ways.
Ah.
Right? Did you ever do that?
No.
Because I had friends who did. And who
Yeah.
said, Aidzee, you've got to try this. And I went,
Yeah.
oh, God, all right, I'll do it. And I did it, and it's fucking awesome. It is
Ah.
awesome. It is
Okay.
the best way. The onion, because you smell onion last, right?
Yes.
You smell the onion, and finally, all of the flavors of everything else. And I hate
Yeah.
onion, right?
Yeah.
All of the flavors of everything else and the onion just go pow. And it's like, yes, I'm in
Ah.
the taiga. I'm in the Kadacha. I'm in Siberia. Bring me a bear so that I may feast and have warmth tonight. It's Russia. It's everything. It's got that whole grr about it, and it smells fucking great. It's just really good, and it's got that whole warmth thing going on. Oh, it's just like enlivens all the senses. Mm. So
Yeah, no, I
I
just searched it. There's like a Reddit thread. I just drank chilled vodka shot and smelled an onion, and it was really good. So, yeah, it's quite a thing people get into. How to drink vodka like a Russian. That's what you want to know.
what out of a plastic bag with
Yeah, I don't know.
denatured blue in it.
Let me see if I'll just search for onion on this page. Onion. Here we go. What you're eating. If you're drinking in Russia, you'll see lots of dishes: pickles, pig fat, herring, onions. Okay, no, this one doesn't. This says just eat onions, not smell onions. There you go. Vodka onion shots. There you go. Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about it. And this literally, I didn't watch much Agents of Shield, so I hadn't seen that. Yeah, this person, I just watched Agents of Shield, slicing an onion down, sniffing the onion. Saw this post on Facebook. Uh,
I'm looking at you with adoring love, by the way, every
Oh,
time you're
good.
saying this.
Good. History
Because
of the...
when I'm looking at you, there's this little green on your glasses looking back at me, and it's a little bit,
Nice.
you know, like my
Yeah.
teeth are moving around. Sure they are. Yeah.
Yeah, now
But
they are.
when you're green or looking at me, they're a bit.
Okay. Safa's saying alcohol
I
consumption has
get a bit
dropped by
angular. I get
43%.
a bit angular when you're with me
I
because I want
see.
to feel that good. I want to feel that good. We're looking at, but we're crossing the line.
Mm,
Let's stop
that's okay.
crossing the line.
So Safa reckons alcohol consumption has dropped by 43% since 2003. What's your source for that? That sounds extreme. And do you
That
mean
does sound
worldwide
extreme.
or in Russia or,
That
you
sounds
know?
extreme to me.
Yeah. I'm not saying you're a filthy, dirty liar who needs to get out now.
Safa, you're not a dirty, filthy liar. Safa, you and me are one of the people that are going to do the bad thing with in several places inside of Angry.
Oh, okay. Safa said that's for Russia. ABC News reckons alcohol consumption's dropped by 43% since 2006. So now Russians are
As
only
the
drinking
economy,
twice
as
as
the
much as
economy's
everyone.
gone up and people have got something to fucking do of a daytime.
Yeah. Now Russians are only drinking twice as much as everyone else rather than 3 times as much.
I was going to say, it'll still be pretty fucking big though. Well, come, let us have drinks.
Oh, Adele's doing sober October to support a friend, which
Oh,
and
isn't that nice? Isn't
she
that
says she's
nice,
not a huge
Adele?
drinker anyway. Helpful to focus on.
Well, that's actually not real. Adele's a bit of a drinker. Adele is a bit of a drinker.
I think I've had
Adele
a drink with Adele.
Adele has recently had a split up with her husband. Apparently they're back together again. But apparently the split
Oh,
up
you're
was
saying that Adele? Okay.
Adele had a bit of a split up with her husband over Adele's drinking.
Ah,
And
ah.
apparently they're back together again, but it was a little bit, Adele, you've really got to get off the sauce, darling. We have a child.
Not quite as bad as Amy Winehouse, but troublesome.
Troublesome. Well, I mean, because, she's a multi-millionaire
Yeah.
with all of these fucking anxieties and worries. And who does she go to and who does she talk to?
Her friend Jack Daniels.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that old
Because she's
George
a person.
Thorogood song? I drink alone. Me and Jack Daniels. We don't like other people. We drink alone.
Yeah.
And I always imagine like George Thorogood's always doing this bad boy white blues thing in the song I Drink Alone. Me and Jim Beam, we drink alone. I just imagine after gigs, I reckon George Thorogood actually went backstage and had a cup of chamomile tea and went, they were nice tonight, don't you think? I like them.
I thought they
Good
were
audience.
lovely. I thought they were great. Yeah. Just drive, she said. Just
Yeah.
drive. That was one of my favorite songs. Just drive,
Stan
she said.
Ridgway.
Just drive.
He's still out
Yeah.
doing stuff. I follow him on Twitter because he's quite interesting. And he's still gigging, he's still recording. That man's a
Yeah.
storyteller. He was such a good storyteller in his song.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, back when we were at college, he had that probably the biggest album of his career, The Big Heat. And it had Drive, She Said, The Big Heat, and one or two others that charted. But he's still gigging. He's still recording. He must be 70, honestly.
Fuck,
He's
that's
got to look him
old.
up. It's one of those things we want to know the answer to it.
The trouble is that's only 20 years away from what I am.
Exactly. That's why it's good that he's still doing it. Stan Ridgway, let's find out when he was born. 54.
Damn.
So he's actually only in his 60s.
See, that's worse because he means I'm nearly as him.
65. Yeah, well, he's a decade past us. Now,
Yeah, easy. He's old. He's fucking old as. Jesus, come on.
Camouflage. Remember that one? The Vietnam War ghost story? Oh my god, that was a good song.
Camouflage. That was a
The boys
great
just
song.
call me camouflage.
The boys just call me Camouflage. Because I was waiting for a bullet from a VC. It was great. Great song. Great song.
It's a great song. But yeah, Stan is, and actually, what's funny is, I know it's funny, but it's the thing, I remember it from back in the day. His name's not Stanley, it's Stannard.
Yeah. That's
Stannard Ridgway.
weird. That's weird,
Um,
isn't it?
yeah, but yeah, he's the type. He's sort of indie bluesy country tinge stuff, sort of almost
Yes.
American roots music, and he's a
Yes.
storyteller. Like, he's not completely dissimilar to Tom Waits, although he's quite different. But
Yeah, but not utterly dissimilar in the sense that
yeah,
if you got them on the stage and they were starting to sing, you'd go, they're not like anyone else. They're them.
yes, yeah,
They're them. And they've got a whole bunch of lots of influences, sure, but they're
yeah.
them.
And
Don't.
they both owe a big debt to the blues and American roots music and
Oh, yeah, big time.
Cajun music, and they've gone in slightly different directions, but you can
And
see,
Jackie Chan.
yes, but yeah, I mean,
Because they don't mind getting damaged while they're getting a note going. You know, as long as it destroys the opponent, the note
yes,
will go.
yeah,
It'll happen. They'll come back with a painted on cast. It'll be fine. It'll be
it'll
fine.
be fine. I like what the songs like. He's a storyteller. Like, the Drive, she said, is from the point of view of a taxi driver who picks up a woman who's just like robbed a bank or something, and she's a
Or
hot
done a
dame,
heist.
and,
Either
but she
one of
goes,
them,
just
or a
drive.
hit.
She said,
It's a hit or a bank.
yeah,
One of the
yeah.
two.
But she's got a gun and a bag full of money, and she's in the taxi saying, "Just drive," she said. And the title track of that album, "The Big Heat," is obviously derived from that Dashiell Hammett. I think it's a Dashiell Hammett novel, The Big Heat.
Big Heat, yeah.
One of those classic mid 20th century.
Is the Big Heat is the Dashiell Hammett, yeah.
Yeah, and Camouflage, which is a much longer song, and it's beautiful. It's about this kid in Vietnam who gets cut off from his platoon, and he's sure
And
he's going to die.
saved. He's saved.
And
Right.
this big guy, huge
Camouflage.
Marine, comes and saves him and says he's going to lead him out. And he goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "The boys just call me Camouflage."
Camouflage.
And it's this whole story about Camouflage guiding him safely out. And he goes,
and past these ridiculous odds
yeah.
of shit that's going down that there'd be no way you'd survive, but they
What
get
the
through
heck?
just on the
I
hair of
so
their
much,
head.
I probably still remember it. He goes, he said, "We're near the river when the ambush came on top of us. I thought it was the end and we were had. And a bullet with my name on it came buzzing through a bush. And that big Marine, he just swatted with his hand." He goes, "And I knew there was something weird about him because he ripped up a tree and just started beating them Charlies with it from here to Kingdom Come." And spoiler alert, Camouflage is a ghost.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Who knew? Who knew Camouflage is a ghost? Yeah, yeah.
So the kid makes it back
Camouflage
to base and says to something, "I got saved by this big Marine called Camouflage." And the guy looking at it, "Maybe tell him true, boy, but this here is Camouflage. And he's been right here since he passed away last night."
Yeah.
And he said his last wish was to save a young Marine caught in a barrage. And
there you go. You are that young Marine, son. I was that young Marine once, but it was in a nightclub in Paddington.
Yes, I know that. Oh, look, okay, true story. I'm going to tell you one. You'll like this because this is the thing you've said. After, like, Aidzee and I met at college. We did the same course at Bathurst, which is west of Sydney. But my last year was a first year, so we met then.
Yeah.
But then I was living in Sydney, and I'm just a country boy living in Sydney, and I was in a shared house, and we lived in the inner city. This was like Redfern, Chippendale, Newtown area. Back in this day, I feel so sorry for kids today. This is like 30 years ago. You could afford to live in a shared house in the inner city on the fucking dole. These days, you have to be an incredibly well-paid sort of professional to afford a shared house in the inner city.
To live in that kind of poverty, yeah.
Yeah, but you could afford it on the dole back in the day. So I was in this shared house with people who were all sort of partly employed or semi-employed and whatnot. And we go down Oxford Street, Paddington, and we would on occasion, indulge in, the chemicals. And one night we were going, I don't know if it was the fashion or if I was just being weird, but I was wearing these pants which really weren't very far removed from ski pants. And they were a little bit figure hugging and, couch the butt, as it were. And anyway, and also the female housemate decides, as we're all sort of, woo, going out, she wanted to put makeup on me. And I'm going, okay, we're going to the club, put some makeup on me. So she puts makeup on me. I'm like 21 at this stage.
So you're absolutely rooted, aren't you?
I'm a little bit, and
you're slammed to the nines, aren't you?
And I'm young and pretty, and I'm wearing skin-tight pants that really show off my bum. And
yeah, you're gone, baby. Yeah.
And there was one hetero nightclub just off Oxford Street, and that's where we were going. But the drinks were quite expensive in this nightclub. And there was a pub, the cheapest pub on Oxford Street. I forgot the name of it, but it was basically leather daddy bears. Right? And so here's me, young, pretty, wearing makeup, with skin-hugging pants on, showing off my bum, with his housemate. And there's four of us. And standing in a group, and something in my head, as I'm going in there, and my rather fuzzy head, a fact is trying to penetrate, and it's having a hard time. And one of my housemates says, I'm going to the bar. And I'm like, cool. And I think people are looking at me. And then another housemate says, I'll go to the bar with you. Cool. And slightly penetrates my head. Very large, hairy men in leather are looking at you very intently. And the last housemate, the female housemate's next to me, she goes, I might go too. And the last thing went, you are dressed like a twink in a leather daddy bear bar. There is only one reason someone does this, is that they want one of the leather daddies to take them roughly in the alley behind the bar. And I'm like, and it just finally penetrated my brain. And I just grabbed like a female housemate with, oh, you're not going anywhere. If you left me alone for 5 seconds.
Open your bag and you may urinate in that if it's necessary.
It was literally like,
you're not going anywhere. No.
At the last possible moment, it penetrated my brain. Go, if you are left alone for 5 seconds, no one will ever see you again. It would just...
And no one will ever talk about this moment ever again, ever.
And it was just like, and at that point, they like come back with a bar with their drinks. And I'm just like, you are drinking that fucking drink and we are fucking getting out of here. Okay?
We are never leaving.
Not a discussion. This is a statement of fact. You are drinking your drink.
It's a simple thing. We are leaving. There are other Paddington bars we can go to with me dressed like this for cheap drinks. Believe me.
Frankly, they weren't.
We're going all to them. We're going to them all. And we had a great night. And his name was Eugene, and it was fabulous.
These other lads weren't as young and weren't as pretty as me, and so they weren't as concerned, and they tried to make jokes about, well, you must, be flattering to be the center of attention. I was like, shut your fucking mouth. We're leaving.
We're leaving.
Yeah. And because the whole thing was, I can hardly blame them. I have gone in to this leather daddy bear bar dressed as the twinkiest twink who ever twinked. And you only do that for one reason. And
you only do that for about 5 years too. Just saying.
Like, oh my God.
Just saying.
It's the whole thing. And I honestly think, particularly straight guys who think women want them to accost them on the street and want them to take their headphones off and force them to talk and stuff, they need to have a gay dude hit on them. Not in a bad, punitive way, just to simply understand, oh, here's a situation where I literally have no interest whatsoever in this person making moves on me, and they're doing it. Oh, this is what... So all those times I think I go up to these women saying no means yes. And it's like, no, there are lots of situations where no actually means no. And I think it shows a lot of those guys have never had a gay dude hit on them. And if you're sort of all politically correct like me, it's a very interesting experience because you're trying to find a way to say, not actually my thing. I don't actually want to be rude and say anything to make you feel bad, but no, not even really a passing interest in this. So, it's like,
yeah, no, it's all part of the learning curve of don't. And there are so many more don'ts than do's, and generally there's don'ts. But they're mostly all wrapped around the thing that I want now without asking.
Yeah.
It's always the without asking is usually the thing that is wrapped up in the don't. Right?
David saying he's had a gay guy hit on him, and all you say is, I'm straight, and it's not an issue. And it was never, and that is something I want to stress. It's never been an issue for me. The only reason it ever approached being an issue is, I want to say this in a way that doesn't say, ooh, get away from me, you weirdo. Because it's like, oh, dude, okay. You've picked up signals that I didn't know I was putting out, but I'm not. And I'm not, and I want to say no in a way that doesn't make me sound homophobic. That's the only reason it's ever felt difficult, is I wanted to say no in a way that didn't make me sound homophobic. But it's like, yeah, dude, like, not even close to interested, which is not a reflection on you or your relative attractiveness or, what you're like. It's just...
the smoothest way I've ever heard that said was, oh, hey, thanks, man, but no, that's not the way I swing, but hey, really appreciate it. And it was done and over and finished, and everyone walked away smiling.
I've never had a problem. There's never been a situation with a gay dude. It has happened a couple of times where I've said, no, not for me. And it's always been, okay, cool. But like I said, the joke, for me, the bit that it's still funny to me going into this bar, it's because I was dressed without realizing it. I was dressed as the twinkiest of twinks. And there is only one reason a twink goes into this fucking leather bear daddy bar. And, and it's like I was, without knowing it, without meaning to, sending out an unmistakable signal, and I had to go, oh, this is going to be interpreted in a way that I had no intention of being interpreted, which I guess actually equates to a lady person dressing in, a sexy way, but still having no interest in some rando hitting on her. And the guy's going, well, why are you dressed like that if you don't want me to hit on you? I go, well, because she wants to dress like that. That would be the reason. Like the way she's dressed is nothing to do with you.
I saw something the other day which was disappointing. About they should bloody be careful about the way they dress. It was something in American politics or something.
Oh, but they say it all the time.
It was their fault because the way they dress.
I remember being out with some YouTube friends, and I made Damie snort laugh something chronic because we're in some bar, and there was this group of young ladies, like 6 or 8 of them. There was a lot of them, and they were dressed to the nines. Like they were definitely on the, I'm going to find me somewhere. But they'd gone out as a group. And I'm saying Amy, how does that even work? Because they've really gone to town. They look great, and they don't just look great. They're doing in the pay attention to me outfits. But how does a guy sort of talk with any one of them when they're clearly in this group of
They
6 or
don't.
8? And
They
she
don't.
goes, "How do you know?" And I went, "Damien, I'm no fool. They're after the peen." And just because of the way I said they're after the peen, and we were looking straight at them, and Dame, you know how loudly Damie laughs. She just did this huge snort laugh, which these girls who were on the other side of the bar actually heard. And
Wow.
and we had to pretend it wasn't at them, but it was just like,
Yeah.
I was trying to work out how that worked. To me, it was unmistakable. You know, they were interested in finding someone, but they were in such a large group. I didn't know how that was going to work.
Well, you know how guys have wingmen?
Yeah,
A lot of girls have butterflies.
wing
And
lady.
so a guy will have one wingman, a girl will have 2 butterflies.
Yeah. Well,
It's
this
the
was
same.
again
It's the
2
same
or
tricks.
3 is more manageable, but this was like there were 6 or 8 of them, and
Yeah, but think about 3 or 4 with attendant butterflies.
yeah,
And so then once you've got the 3 or 4 gone, then there's the butterflies to go, then they're gone, then
yeah.
there's the butterflies to go. You could get through that in 3 hours. Done. That's a night out.
What it really comes down to is I'm really glad I'm not single and or dating because it sucks. I am beyond happy to be in a long-term relationship. Uh, and again, because it's been like 15 years since I was in the fucking dating pool. The idea of having to adapt to how fucked dating apps have made things is just beyond the pale. As not something that I
Electronica is a different world, isn't it,
I
to when we were
dating
young?
sites because that's how I met Mrs. Angry, and I dated multiple women. Dating sites are fine because it's like an introduction agency, but fucking
But
Tinder,
even that's getting on for what, 15, 20 years ago, man.
yeah.
That's getting on for a while ago. The last time I had to be out in a bar to meet a person, to, do the thing
mm,
was getting on for the wrong side 10 years ago.
mm. Yeah, no, I didn't
And I
have
have never, ever had to use any single one of the electronic services that has said, come get ye some of the pink secretin bits.
yeah. David's got a positive frame of mind. Says being single's fucking nerve wracking, but kind of exciting at the same time. Yeah,
Isn't it though? Isn't it
yeah.
though? And that is the trick, is that it's nerve wracking but exciting. And you know what? Oh God, someone said this to me once, and I was a comic, right? And I was scared shitless, right? I was terrified, but I had to be there. And they said, "You're terrified, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes," because you're sweating like a bucket. And I went, "Yes." And they said, "Do you know that terror is the other side of excitement, because
Yeah,
your body
that's
only
true.
has enough room to make as many emotional hormones as it can. So it uses the perspective to give you, it's safer in impact area. Um, uh, it gives you the perspective of the hormone to give you the feeling.
Mm,
So if you're in an excited mood,
mm.
or in a terrified mood, that's a different perspective, which is why we go on roller coasters. They're terrifying, but they're very exciting at the same time. And if we know really we're going to come out alive, really, that's exciting.
And that was it.
If
I was
we,
going to bring up the roller coaster thing too. Yeah.
you know, um, and that's the sexual journey all over. It's terrifying because we don't know how it's going to end, but it's awfully exciting because we don't know how it's going to end. And the way it's going to end is with fun. And the way it's going to end with fun is you don't go with someone you're dodgy with to start with. If someone's saying dodgy things or looking dodgy or anything dodgy, just stop. If your bum is going no, stop.
You
You just
tend to
walk
really
away.
need to listen to your gut feel in dating.
Listen to your gut. If there's something wrong or you don't like his friends, walk away. Walk away.
Yeah.
Or if someone says something snarky, anything at all at the table, right? One thing snarky, get up and go.
Yeah.
Right?
And particularly
You're
to
not-
serving staff. If someone treats serving staff badly, if they're
Get up
being
and go.
really if they're being really good to you and really attentive to you and really charming to you, really sexy to you, but they're rude or dismissive to serving staff, that's what you pay attention to. Get the fuck out of Dodge. That's one of the biggest warning signs.
Get out of there now.
Who's
Get
rude.
out of there now.
I love what you said about Snarky. It reminded me of this. I forget his name. It's one of the endless cavalcade of British sketch comedy guy. You know, he's had enormous. He's older than us. He's had shows over the years, but he had one that I really remember because as a married couple, and they've clearly been together for ages, and the guy's being really sarcastic the whole time, which is an easy trap to fall into, and it's really bad. And they're driving somewhere and he's just being really sarcastic. He goes, "Oh, when you had the map and you said you could do it, but apparently you can't. Apparently reading a map's too hard. Apparently that's beyond." And he's saying, and it's really tempting to be sarcastic and snarky to someone when you're with them. And he goes on like this for ages, being really sarcastic and snarky and a shit to her, and she's clearly upset. And he keeps going, and he pauses for breath, and she just looks at him and goes, "You've never made me come."
Booyah.
And
Thank you.
Stops him. And it was like, yes, that's one of it. Just don't be snarky. It's really tempting and it's really easy to fall into. Don't fucking do it. Whether it's a first date, whether it's a fifth date, whether it's 10 years, whether it's 20 years into a relationship. Don't fucking do it because it's really shitty.
But if you are with someone, you go to their table and someone at that table says something snarky, get up, walk away.
Yeah.
Walk away. That's not the group of people you want to be involved in.
Yeah.
It's not interesting. You know, at the same time, if you are at a party and they want to watch YouTube videos of cats doing stupid things, different party time.
Yes.
Or change it up. You know, like if you know there's powder drugs around, get them out.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't like them, then you can go. You know, there's a point to where you got to just go, look, guys, this is not how adults behave. You know, it's just not. Snark is one of them. Snark is not how adults behave. You know, I'm trying to win points, and what's the prize? You know, what's the trophy? Big guy,
Exactly.
what do you win?
Yeah.
You know?
You just reminded me of one of my favorite YouTube videos, and I looked it up and it's still there. If you want a good laugh, look up eHarmony video cats. And this woman, I think she's a comedian, it's got 33 million views. It's from 8 years ago. And she's done it completely straight, so it looks real. It's a mock profile video for the eHarmony dating site, and she's obsessed with cats, and it's fucking hilarious. It's perfect. Like she'll talk about like and she'll say like I love cats and and then she'll say something else, and so I'm thinking of cats again, and I want to hug all the cats and I can't hug them, and she gets really teary thinking of cats, and it's absolutely beautiful. And it also got turned into a songify by the Gregory brothers on their channel Schmo Can't Hug Every Cat.
Wow.
That's got 40 million views. The
I
original
was
video.
going to say, if you're on Schmo Yo Ho, you're
Yeah.
home, buddy. You gone.
The,
Yeah. The people raping up in here.
Million
They're
views.
getting
The
your
Schmo
wives and they're getting on your kids. He
Yeah.
got so much money
all
out of
those
that.
viral videos, and they're beautiful people. The Shmo Yoho people, when they do something and it goes well with just a viral video, so they contact the person. They say, "We're going to put this on Spotify, whatever it is, where some money generates, and we're going to split the money with you. Like whatever money this generates, we're going to split
they cut it with them. Yeah,
which they don't have to do." And they could get away
they
with
have no obligation to do that, but they absolutely cut it with them.
Yeah. I like his David saying in 99 he met a gal on a pub crawl. All he had was a name, took a punt, looked her up in the... Oh, God, Jesus, dude. David's our age, dating himself. Looked her up in the phone book. And ended up with a 2-year relationship, which is nice. Pugbush found his wife on ICQ 20 years ago. That's nice. I found Mrs. Angry on a dating site about 15 years ago. She found me, actually, if I remember. She made the first move. So there you go.
How old
and in fact, my ex, the mother of my children, we met on IRC chat, which that's like saying that's like saying PIN number, because IRC was Internet Relay Chat.
Because I technically never met your ex. I've visually seen your ex one time in my life.
I don't know that you've met her, no. But like my first
your ex, you'd been together 4 or 5 years when we re up.
Oh, yeah, I'd been with Mrs. Angry for 5 years when I re-met you. Yes.
Yeah.
So, but yes, my firstborn, who turns 22 in November, she could easily... Yeah, I know. Aidzee feels old whenever he sees my kids because they're adults now, and because he knew them when they were little tackers.
They were tiny little things, and you could pat them, and they'd giggle. Giggle.
Because young Mr. Angry shot up a couple of years ago. Aidzee and I are basically the same height, and young Mr. Angry's like, was he 2 inches, 4 inches taller than us? He shot up a couple of years ago, and he's taller than both of us.
Master Angry is...
Oh yeah, you got really upset because the youngest is Mrs. Angry's son. So like my stepson, he's a couple years younger again. He's like 16, but he's hit that 15, 16-year-old voice break growth spurt. And he's got this really... I just watched another recorded video of him from only a couple of years ago.
And it's nice and high.
Girl voice. He's got this little girl voice. And now he's got this fucking man voice. It's weird. But but my firstborn could, and I've said this on live chats before actually, but my firstborn could easily be the first internet baby, as in the first baby born from a relationship from people who were in different cities, who met because of the internet and wouldn't have met without it. So, because 22 years ago, that was 1997.
No, that's fair. That's a real thing.
And because we met through this IRC channel, and someone who was a regular on there.
Who knows what IRC is though anymore? You say IRC to someone, they go, "What the fuck are you talking about, Grandpa?"
The nerds, because there is...
Could you please stop
still
looking
a
at
version
me?
of IRC about, I think. So
Your
the nerds
fucking contact lenses are shining on my fucking videographic clothing, and it's weirding me out.
Yeah.
Step the fuck back.
But Yeah, the someone who was in this IRC channel she wrote for a British tech magazine, back when magazines were a thing.
Yeah, back when they were
and,
a thing.
and
Not
when
an online clickbait hub.
when we had a baby, she went like, "Holy fuck! I've never heard of people who met online having a baby this much." And she actually ran a story in the magazine. I gave her a photo, and she ran a story in this magazine like this might be the first internet baby. So it'd be very hard to prove
Really?
one way or the other, but it's distinctly
Really?
possible. My firstborn is the first internet baby. So there you go.
Really? I suppose. I mean, the
Not,
first recorded, definitely.
you can't be
Definitely
like
recorded.
people in Silicon Valley. You can't be like tech nerds in Silicon Valley who met because they were
No,
both.
no. Sorry. No. We hand gesture them away.
Yeah.
We do
This
that
is
one. And
people who
in
were living in
Asia, when
completely
you
different
do that, it
cultures.
means come here, come
Yeah.
here, come here. In European cultures, it means go away, go away. So
Like
in
come here,
Asia, when
go
people are
away.
doing that, they mean come here, come here. And if they're doing that, they mean fuck off.
And this will get
In
your head punched in some countries.
Yeah, this will get you punched in some countries, but most of the time it'll get you okay. Um, in European cultures, this means go away, go away, go away. And in some cultures, this means stop.
Yeah.
Not hi, how you doing? But this always means hi, how are ya? Like a hand out to a hand. I mean, always means how you going. It's the universal symbol of how you
Yeah,
doing.
the way my brain works and puts stupid things, you will probably remember, Aidzee, absolutely terrible, saucy comic books called Sex to Sexty.
I really do.
They were like from the 80s and 90s. And it was like usually really, although some of them were quite well drawn, but they were usually quite
They would
badly
be
drawn, bad
usually
jokes,
very badly drawn.
but they were
Yeah,
about sex. So it was naughty. And you just
always
remind
very
me of
naughty.
you're saying
They were
this
16s. They were
universal.
16s. They were fold, stable.
Yeah. And you're saying this is universal positive. There was one with aliens, and the astronaut reaches out when he meets the alien, but the thing that looks like a hand on the alien is the alien's dick, and he's grabbed the alien by the dick and squeezed it. But that just popped in my head. This is a thing that existed when we were kids. That's how old it was. This is a thing when we were kids, that naughty gentlemen would have the naughty joke books. And they went to a few different names, but sex, because there were the things that some, like Lego, would be advertised as being suitable for 6 to 60. And these were called
Sex to
6 to
60.
60. And yes, as I thought, I did a Google search, and there is endless examples of them. So if you want
There are so
dodgy,
many sex to 60s around still these days.
dodgy AF, just look it up because it's from a different.
When you've got to say, oh, just look it up, because
Yeah.
it's just, I can't be bothered trying to tell
Yeah.
you.
No, it's from a
No.
different era.
It's like trying to say, what's the universe world? You know what the internet is?
Yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Just look it
It's just,
up.
if you want an insight into a really different age, look up the Sex to Sexty joke books, and they're just fucking terrible, honestly.
They're
But
shocking. They're shocking.
when particularly if you're a horny lad desperate for something vaguely approaching porn, you go for the Sex to Sexty joke books, and
You do.
you wouldn't get harsh
and
jokes, and and then you'd get to be an adult, and you'd
And you would
get
get the
some of
jokes
the
and you go,
jokes,
oh,
realise they
God, for
weren't
God's sake, please no.
Yeah. But yes, if you want a weird education, look up Sex to Sexty joke books on the interwebs, and oh my god, it's an insight into a really fucking weird period of history.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. There's still chat about IRC. Pugwashers nailed it. IRC, where every conversation started with ASL. Which, don't know, stood for age, sex, location. You wanted to know
Didn't it?
if someone was worth hitting on, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And there
Sex
was
location, single white female.
a lot of that went on IRC. But hey, look, it's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock. All right, should I do my very quick hello to what we're going to do with how to pick up chicks, bow chicka wow wow?
Very, very quick, because I'm going to go to bed.
Okay, so it's always going to be about don't do anything you don't want to do.
Yeah.
It's always going to be about bring the fun. That's it. That's
Yeah.
the end of it. Bring the fun. You bring the fun. You don't get the fun brought on you. You bring the fun. Okay? And the other one is that you're always there for giving. You're not there for taking, you're there for giving. Right? You're always there for giving. Now, last thing, and this is very, very important, if you take nothing away from this whole time course, this whole thing, other than this, is you have respect for yourself, you have respect for the other. You have respect for yourself in the sense that you're not an asshole, you're not a loser, you're not a dog, you're not a freak of nature. Otherwise, how could anyone love or like you? You're not. You're simply not. And if anyone starts to treat you badly, get out of there. Walk the fuck away. You don't need to be treated badly. You don't need to be looked down on. You don't need to be fucking talked down to. Walk away. And you don't talk down to people. You don't look down on people. You're not better than anyone. You are not more superior than anyone. But at the same time, you're not inferior than anyone. You're not you're not worse than anyone. So no, respect. Okay, so don't talk over anyone who's talking. Listen to what people are saying. Actually listen to what they're saying. Don't wait for your turn to talk. Listen to what they're saying. Ask them questions about what they're saying, because it makes them A, sound like they are listening, and B, makes you make you understood more. And finally, because it's an intro, there are 7 billion people on the world. We're going to start cutting those numbers down, all right? But we're going to get to the good bit now. The good bit is if there are 60 people in a room, that's 60 people in a room. 2 of those people think that your body is the hottest thing they have ever seen in their life and want it very, very badly. Now, they might be too shy to come onto you. They might be. Okay, and that's okay. Keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Right? But if there are 60 people in a room, then they want you. Baby, do they want you. Doesn't matter what your body shape is, doesn't matter what your body type is, doesn't matter what your sexuality is. They want you real bad. 60 people, 2 people. Okay, now you might not like them, and that's okay. You're going to get rejected. That's okay. That's okay. Remember, 60-person room, 3.5 billion people. It's okay. There's another one. If you fucking go through your entire life looking for the next one, 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 you have approximately 10,000 goes at before you die. right? So
Yeah.
don't come crying to me with I can't find anything. You have 10,000 goes at it, right? Assuming you're only going at it once a night, right? With me, it was 3 or 4 times a night. But that was for reasons that I had difficulties with. I decided I was unworthy, and so I just had to keep my strike rate up. And then just found out that I didn't have to keep my strike rate up, but that to keep my strike rate up was kind of fun. Complicated.
It is.
So respect is your
Mm.
thing. Respect is your thing. Don't do anything you don't want to say. Don't. No means no.
Yeah.
Don't do anything you don't want to do.
Yeah.
You're there to bring the fun.
Yes.
Okay. Right. Don't worry about what people look like. Don't worry about what you look like. Remember, it's Christmas time. Once you get the wrappings off, no one gives a fuck. It all just gets put in a box in a corner anyway. People just want to play with the present. So, really, it's what's inside that counts. Really, it's what's inside that counts, because you'll be
Yeah.
bumping uglies for about maybe 30 minutes if you're really, really going hard.
Yeah.
But you've got to talk to one another for the next 8 hours. Hopefully, there's something interesting inside, eh?
Yeah, for sure.
All right,
Well,
that was
excellent.
it.
All right. Well, good night to all you fine people. Thank you for sharing time with us.
Thanks for letting me be on your device, and thank you very much for sorting out my shit. And I really did have to sort out some shit. Got
All right.
really
We'll see
awkward
you
for a
again
second.
another time. Just saying bye for now.
See yous, guys. See yous,
Bye.
love yous, bye.